Yo, what's good? It's your boy, the Black Anglo-Saxon, favorite neighborhood political scientist, and I'm back here with a quick one. Today we just going to quickly talk about your boy Joe Biden. It came out that they did in fact censor people again, because, what was it? Mark Zuckerberg already came out and said that the Biden administration pressured him to mess with the algorithms and take certain information as it relates to COVID off of the screens, off of the pages. And then of course we know the corporate media already was in on it as well. So we talking about like the CNNs, The View, and all of these other people who kind of just spout out whatever side they tell them, because that also goes for Fox and all of the conservative outlets as well. But today we talking about Joe Biden and the administration he sat at the helm of, because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get really right into it, because this article right here from The Hill, and so as y'all can see, Google admits censorship under the Biden, YouTube welcome back MAGA. And so I just want to preface that that's kind of a very, what do you want to say, biased opinion, because everybody who talked about Joe Biden and the administration during that era was not MAGA. There were black leftists and leftists of all kinds who also got censored as a result of that, and especially in this last election cycle. So just the headline in itself is kind of misleading, but I really wanted to talk about, the guts of it. So Google admitted earlier this week that its COVID-era censorship policies were enacted at the explicit behest of the Biden administration, and the company now says it will allow any content creator that was silenced for this reason to return to YouTube. And this was a massive win for free speech, as well as acknowledgement to those of us who objected to government bullying. Tech companies were right all along. The new policy was announced in response to an inquiry by House Judiciary Committee. Jim Jordan jumped down a little bit. Biden administration officials continue press the company to remove non-violative user-generated content. And so that's basically content that doesn't necessarily violate the terms of agreements of YouTube content creators, but went against the administration's agendas and goals set out. It says Alphabet Statements goes on to accuse the Biden administration of creating a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on the concerns regarding misinformation. And so, a lot of conversations were had about misinformation, and unfortunately we live in an environment now where everybody kind of is able to craft and create their own truth. And a lot of that has to do with situations like this, and that's why I wanted to kind of talk about it. So lest you think means a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists are coming back, consider this. Longtime viewers probably remember, but this channel, The Hill, was probably suspended for a week, allegedly for breaking the rule that YouTube now admits was wrong. And here, me and my co-host at the time, Ryan Grimm, Kim Iverson, I like Kim Iverson, I'm talking about what happened to us. We had served our 1 week stint in timeout. Now, more than 3 years later, I actually don't blame YouTube as much for this kind of thing, even though it was wrong and crazy. We now know that this platform, as well as Twitter, X, Facebook, and all of the rest, face relentless pressure to censor speech that is censored from the perspective of the Biden administration, particularly on COVID and the 2020 election. Now, the problem that we have with this is that, unfortunately, people talk about Trump, people talk about fascism, people talk about authoritarian nature, but we have to understand that it is these type of moments and it is these type of situations that allow and create for the opportunity and the pathways for a Donald Trump, or anybody for that matter, to come in and further exacerbate these type of practices. And this is, what I mean by the road was paved, because it's easy to sit here and say, that they was just doing it for MAGA and they was doing it for COVID, but obviously they did it and they used it to sway or try to sway the elections in their favor, the narratives in their favor. And so, I remember that whole situation with Cambridge Analytica and then Donald Trump. And I want to say not Alex Jones, but one of them guys who was up in that camp tried to recreate that Cambridge Analytica scheme. And there was a lot of kerfuffle around that. But I think what people have to really keep in mind is that just because it's your team doing it doesn't make it cool and doesn't make it right, because somebody can come behind that and extend the power and extend that same trajectory just outside of your favor. And it was really, a lot of people thought it was cool, especially people within the Democratic Party, to silence certain Black leftist groups, specifically ADOS, and you have others. And people thought it was okay. People thought it was all right. People thought it was cool to call people, bots and all of these other type of things. But it also highlights how the government, how we've been in fascism. And I always said, because the government has long been co-opted by these quote unquote bureaucrats or political actors who have no allegiance to the people, the corporations. And, we sit here and we have all of these conversations, and unfortunately, we exist on YouTube. I post videos on YouTube. I communicate with people through YouTube. But at the same time, I was making those videos back then around Joe Biden and the whole COVID thing as well. Not so much about COVID, but the policy prescriptions that were being given at the time, especially with Fish Fry, my man Fish Fry down in South Carolina. And then you had Kamala, who sucked and still sucks, which is why I thought it was a crazy idea to run her again. And so it's just interesting to kind of see it play out in this way, and it come out yet again that this administration was pushing people to be censored. And then on the back of it, the Democratic Party, the flunkies within the party who necessarily can't think for themselves, are able to really break their lips and not be able to hold their own party accountable or talk about whataboutism, et cetera, when wrong is just wrong. And, that's why we're here, because if somebody team does it, people try to justify it. And unfortunately, that is a path to nothingness, because essentially what is happening is Trump has taken a lot of the policies and a lot of the tactics that has been used. And I talked about it before, like even the approach that he used in terms of populism and how he campaigned and how he took Obama's and Bernie's, different tactics of how he kind of positioned himself, while also understanding and seeing that you don't really have to deliver anything to the people, because it's time and time and again that we've seen people be okay with just not receiving. And he understands that. I think he understands that very well. But unfortunately, we are here. This unfortunately came out, and it's really, really bad. It really should be front page. But again, not only are the tech companies co-opted, a lot of the media is co-opted. Journalism, I wouldn't even say really exist in the corporate entity, in the corporate body. You have your independent truth tellers who exist in a lot of ways on YouTube, Patreon, and a lot of these independent spaces. But unfortunately, everything has become pay to play. And you have yet another large corporation and company saying that they were pressured by the federal government, by an administration, which is disgusting, highly, highly disgusting. And I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're independent, I don't care which side you're on. It's disgusting when Republicans do it. It's disgusting when Democrats do it. It's disgusting when anybody does it, unfortunately. And I really need my party, because unfortunately I'm still registered as a Democrat, because I don't really think it's about switching parties in a way that a lot of people are doing. I think all political parties are vacuous in that they are filled with whatever ideology makes it to the top, or whatever ideology wins out. So whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or whatever party you're running to, you're still going to have to fight for that piece of the pie in terms of ideological or propaganda, for lack of a better word, because unfortunately you got to battle narratives with narratives, and in a lot of ways I wish that we could just tell the truth, but people love the lies, and the half truths, because it's a lot more half truths than it is full lies. But I really just wanted to kind of come to y'all and really just bring awareness to it, because I don't think anybody is really talking about it outside of like the small independent people. And I ain't gonna say small, I'm nothing really. But the independent side, where a lot of people don't necessarily or may not be paying attention, and truly ask yourself, like, and critique yourself, critique your party, critique your allegiance, critique how you engage with this stuff. Because a lot of people, and I'm gonna get into it on a different episode, but Kamala's book, she admitting to a lot of stuff that went down, that she lied about, and a lot of people are caping for her, but you know, it should be a time to hold her accountable, because it's like, you knew all of this was happening, you knew all of this was going on, and now you're just trying to make a book out of it on top of, already getting your victory. But what do I know? Let me know what y'all think. Do you think it matters that people were censored on Google, YouTube? How do you see us moving forward as a nation with an administration who is supposed to be the antagonist to the Republican Party, or to the quote unquote authoritarian nature of this administration, or fascism, as they like to say, fascism, because they out here doing the same thing, creating a lane for it. But, hit the like button, hit the share button. I appreciate y'all for always checking me out. And I'll see y'all on another day.